Bigger engines, bigger screens. Bigger price tags, bigger promises, but then a motorcycle like the 2026 Yamaha XT350 appears out of nowhere. And suddenly the entire conversation changes because this machine doesn't try to impress you with outrageous horsepower or futuristic gimmicks. Instead, it hits something much deeper, something emotional, something riders thought the industry had forgotten long ago. Welcome back to Z Auto Advisor, because today we're diving into a motorcycle that may quietly become one of the most important dual sport machines of the modern era. The moment you first see the 2026 Yamaha XT350, there's this strange sense of familiarity mixed with curiosity. It feels modern but not cold, rugged but not aggressive. Yamaha somehow captured the spirit of classic adventure motorcycles, without turning the bike into a retro museum piece. And honestly, that balance is incredibly difficult to achieve. One wrong move in, the motorcycle either feels outdated or painfully overstyled. But the XT350 lands right in the sweet spot. The design tells the story immediately. Tall suspension, slim bodywork, lightweight proportions, high front fender, minimalist side panels, upright stance. Every inch of the motorcycle feels purposeful. It looks like a machine designed to travel through dirt roads, city traffic, mountain trails, and forgotten highways without caring where the pavement ends. And maybe that's exactly why people are becoming obsessed with it already. Because the XT350 doesn't look fake, it looks honest, and in today's motorcycle world, honesty feels surprisingly rare. The front end carries one of the bike's strongest visual identities. The round LED headlight gives the XT350 that timeless, dual sport character riders instantly recognize, but Yamaha added just enough modern sharpness to prevent it from feeling stuck in the past. At night, the lighting setup transforms the motorcycle completely, creating this clean, focused appearance that feels rugged and premium at the same time. The fuel tank remains slim and functional, reinforcing the bike's lightweight nature, while the narrow chassis hints at the kind of agility riders immediately crave. Once they swing a leg over the seat, and the second you actually sit on the XT350, something clicks. The ergonomics feel natural immediately. Upright posture, wide handlebars, relaxed seating position. It doesn't force you into an aggressive riding stance or overwhelm you with unnecessary bulk. Instead, it feels approachable, comfortable, ready for anything. The motorcycle almost invites you to ride farther than you planned. That's where Yamaha seems to have made their smartest decision, because the XT350 doesn't try to intimidate riders. It tries to connect with them. And once the engine comes alive, that connection starts becoming very real. Early discussions surrounding the 2026 XT350 suggest Yamaha focused heavily on lightweight performance, low-end torque, smooth throttle response, and real-world usability. Instead of chasing ridiculous horsepower numbers, that approach completely changes the riding experience. The motorcycle feels alive, in a way many larger adventure bikes simply don't anymore. Twist the throttle and the power arrives smoothly. Predictably and confidently, there's enough torque, low in the rev range to make city riding effortless, while the mid-range delivers a satisfying surge that keeps the bike engaging. On open roads, the XT350 never feels overwhelming or exhausting. Instead, it constantly encourages you to keep riding, and honestly, that may become the motorcycle's most addictive quality, because modern motorcycles often feel like they're trying too hard to prove something. But the XT350 feels relaxed, comfortable in its own identity. It doesn't need massive horsepower to create excitement. Because the lightweight chassis changes everything, that's where the real magic happens. The moment the motorcycle starts moving through corners, traffic, or rough terrain, you begin understanding why lightweight, dual sport bikes have such passionate fan communities. Every direction change feels effortless. Every correction feels immediate. Every movement feels connected directly to the rider. Instead of wrestling with unnecessary weight or battling overly aggressive electronics, the XT350 simply responds naturally. That simplicity creates confidence, and confidence transforms the entire riding experience. In traffic, the bike feels narrow and agile, enough to glide through tight spaces effortlessly on winding roads. The lightweight frame turns every curve into an experience, instead of a chore. But once the pavement disappears completely, the XT350 begins revealing its true personality. That's when the motorcycle becomes emotional. Because off-road riding in the XT350 feels less like controlling a machine and more like cooperating with it. The long travel suspension absorbs rough surfaces with confidence while still maintaining enough feedback to keep the rider connected to the terrain underneath. Gravel roads become fun instead of stressful. Dirt trails stop feeling intimidating. Even broken pavement suddenly feels manageable. Because the motorcycle constantly communicates stability and control, Yamaha appears to have tuned the suspension for real-world riding instead of pure marketing statistics. And that decision matters enormously, because motorcycles like this aren't about spec sheets. They're about experiences. The XT350 feels like the kind of motorcycle that makes riders take the longer route home simply because they can. The kind of machine that turns ordinary commutes into mini adventures. The kind of bike that makes random dirt paths impossible to ignore. That emotional curiosity becomes incredibly powerful once you experience it firsthand. And then there's the sound, not artificially aggressive, not obnoxiously loud, just a clean mechanical heartbeat that feels authentic. Every throttle blip carries this raw honesty. Modern motorcycles sometimes lose completely. The XT350 sounds alive, purpose-built, like a machine designed to survive thousands of miles. Instead of impressing people for 5 seconds at a traffic light, that mechanical authenticity changes the entire atmosphere surrounding the motorcycle. Because motorcycles are emotional machines first. And Yamaha clearly understands that. Inside the cockpit, the XT350 continues, balancing modern convenience with minimalist philosophy. Rumors suggest the bike includes a compact digital instrument display, with essential ride information presented clearly and cleanly. Bluetooth connectivity and modern fuel injection technology may also appear, but thankfully Yamaha seems careful not to overload the motorcycle with unnecessary distractions. Even the switchgear reportedly maintains the tactile, mechanical quality riders associate with durable adventure bikes. And honestly, that restraint feels refreshing. Because the XT350 doesn't try to compete with luxury, touring motorcycles, or high-tech superbikes. It's chasing something entirely different. Emotional accessibility, real usability, freedom. That's what makes this motorcycle so fascinating, especially right now, because something unexpected is happening across motorcycle culture. Worldwide, riders are slowly rediscovering lightweight motorcycles again. Adventure enthusiasts are beginning to question whether giant, overly complicated bikes truly make riding more enjoyable. Younger riders are searching for motorcycles that feel approachable and affordable without sacrificing excitement. Even experienced riders are craving simpler machines that reconnect them with the pure joy of riding itself. And suddenly the XT350 arrives at exactly the right moment. It feels less like Yamaha chasing a trend, and more like Yamaha predicting one, before everyone else notices it fully happening. That timing could become incredibly important. Because the XT350 appears built for real life, in a way many motorcycles simply aren't anymore. This is the kind of machine capable of handling city commutes during the week, and disappearing into mountains or dirt trails on weekends. Without needing massive preparation or complicated setup, that versatility transforms the bike into more than transportation. It becomes part of someone's lifestyle. And motorcycles that become part of people's lifestyles often create legendary reputations. Older Yamaha XT models already proved that years ago. Talk to longtime riders about classic XT motorcycles, and you'll notice something fascinating. They rarely focus only on technical specifications. Instead, they talk about memories, reliability, adventures, freedom. They describe motorcycles that survived punishment, carried them through difficult journeys, and somehow remained unforgettable. Decades later, the 2026 XT350 feels determined to continue that legacy. And maybe that's why it feels emotionally important already. Because this motorcycle isn't trying to dominate headlines through outrageous numbers or impossible performance claims. It's trying to reconnect riders with something much simpler and much more meaningful: the joy of exploration, the freedom of unpredictability, the excitement of riding without needing a perfect destination. That philosophy becomes even more powerful when you realize how customizable the XT350 appears. Riders are already imagining rally-inspired adventure builds, lightweight touring setups, aggressive off-road conversions, camping accessories, retro graphics kits, soft luggage systems, and personalized modifications that transform the bike into something uniquely their own. That flexibility matters enormously, because motorcycles like this often become deeply personal machines, not status symbols, not garage decorations, real companions. And maybe that's the biggest reason the XT350 feels so important. In today's motorcycle world, modern life has become exhausting. Screens dominate attention. Notifications never stop. Technology follows people everywhere. Even motorcycles became overloaded with menus, riding mode, sensors, and distractions competing for focus. But the XT350 feels like the opposite of all that chaos. It feels grounded, mechanical, honest, like a machine designed to reconnect riders with reality, instead of separating them from it. That emotional simplicity may explain why lightweight, dual-sport motorcycles are suddenly experiencing renewed popularity. Worldwide riders are realizing adventure doesn't necessarily require enormous horsepower figures or giant luxury machines. Sometimes adventure is simply a lightweight motorcycle, a dirt road, and enough curiosity to keep riding toward the unknown. The XT350 understands that perfectly, and here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. At first glance, many people assumed the 2026 Yamaha XT350 was simply another nostalgia project, designed to revive a famous name. But the deeper riders analyze the motorcycle, the more it feels like Yamaha may actually be making a much larger statement about the future of riding itself, because the XT350 doesn't behave like a motorcycle chasing modern trends. It behaves like a motorcycle quietly rejecting them. That's a completely different philosophy. And honestly, it feels almost rebellious. The motorcycle industry spent years convincing riders they needed bigger engines, endless electronics, and intimidating performance figures to experience real freedom. But the XT350 challenges all of that with one simple idea. What if simplicity was never the problem? What if simplicity was actually the answer? That realization hits hard once you understand what this motorcycle represents. The XT350 isn't trying to overwhelm riders with power or complexity. It's trying to remind them why riding became addictive in the first place. The wind, the movement, the unpredictability, the freedom of disappearing down roads you've never seen before, simply because curiosity demanded it. That emotional connection cannot be measured by horsepower, numbers, or touchscreen size. And maybe that's exactly why the 2026 Yamaha XT350 already feels bigger than just another motorcycle release. It feels like a reminder that motorcycles were never supposed to become overly complicated, machines chasing perfection. They were supposed to create stories, build memories, encourage exploration, deliver freedom. And honestly, if Yamaha truly delivers the XT350 exactly the way riders are hoping, this motorcycle may become one of the most emotionally significant dual sport bikes of the modern era. Now the real question is this: would you actually choose a lightweight, simple, emotionally connected motorcycle like the XT350 over the giant, high-tech adventure machines dominating the market today? Or do you think riders have already gone too far to ever return to simplicity again? Because judging by the reaction surrounding this motorcycle already, Yamaha may have just started a movement nobody saw coming.